stocks, bonds, commodities, crypto. This is your weekly investment roundup from Key News. Stock markets across the globe have been falling this week. All the major North American stock markets fell after 2 weeks in a row of hitting all-time highs. President Trump's threat of massive tariff hikes on Chinese goods caused the sharpest declines in the US since April. The S&P 500, NASDAQ, and Dow Jones all dropped around 2.5%. But the biggest falls were reserved for the small-cap stocks of the Russell 2000 index. North of the border, Canada's TSX didn't do quite as badly, but still dropped over 2% this week. Over the past 12 months, the TSX has been the strongest among the major North American stock markets, gaining more than all the big US indexes. The tech-heavy NASDAQ isn't far behind, though, and the S&P 500 has also delivered above-average returns over the past 12 months. It was a disappointing week for stock markets in Europe too, especially for France's CAC 40, with the backdrop of the country's political uncertainty. Both the UK's FTSE 100 and Germany's DAX 30 reached all-time highs midweek, but pulled back to finish the past 7 days in the red. No all-time highs for Switzerland's SMI, and it finished the week down as well. The CAC 40 and SMI disappoint over 12 months too, while the DAX remains the best performer among the world's major stock markets over 12 months, with a 26% gain. Asia-Pacific stock markets had better fortunes this week. Not only did Japan's Nikkei 225 reach all-time highs again, it rose over 5% following news of Japan's newly elected Prime Minister. India's Nifty 50 and China's Shanghai Stock Exchange both climbed, the latter only just, while Australia's ASX 200 was the outlier, with a slight drop. Over 12 months, the Nikkei 225 is also the best performer among major Asia-Pacific stock markets, while the SSE has also posted good gains. The Nifty 50, while no longer in the red, remains the weakest of the world's major stock markets over 12 months. In a repeat of last week, bond yields eased across the globe. In the US, the 10-year, 2-year, and 30-year Treasury yields, as well as yields on 10-year tips, all fell amid concerns over another trade war with China and the continuing US government shutdown, which delays the release of key economic data. In Canada, 10-year yields also dipped after expectations lowered for an interest rate cut later this month. Bond yields across Europe fell as investors reacted to political uncertainty in France after its prime minister resigned, and there were calls for President Macron to do the same. It was in Germany, though, where yields fell furthest during the week, following worse than expected German industrial production data. It was a mixed picture for bond yields in the Asia-Pacific region. Like last week, yields in Japan and India climbed. Investors are increasingly expecting an interest rate hike in Japan at the end of the month, while in India, the central bank raised its growth forecast and lowered inflation expectations. Yields in China have fallen 5 sessions in a row after trade tensions with the US intensified. Commodities now and President Trump's tariff threats towards China have sparked fears of slowing global growth, which could harm demand for energy. Coupled with rising global supply, energy prices have slumped this week, with crude, Brent, and natural gas all significantly down. Silver's 7-week positive run comes to an end as its price finished marginally lower than last week. Is there any stopping gold, though? It broke through the $4,000 mark this week as investors sought out the shiny safe haven asset amid US-China trade tensions. Gold has gained more than 50% over the past 12 months, as has silver, while WTI and crude's 12-month slump continues to fall deeper into the red. Let's take a look at what's been happening in the world of cryptocurrency. Bitcoin reached its all-time high on Monday, breaking through the $126,000 mark before plunging to as low as $105,000 due to large profit-taking and US policy uncertainty. A partial recovery meant Bitcoin ended Friday close to $113,000, around a 7.5% drop over the past 7 days. The other big names followed suit, with steep falls on Friday, leading to double-digit 7-day slumps for Ethereum, Solana, and biggest of all for XRP, falling 22%. Despite this week's rout, XRP is still the biggest gainer over the past 12 months, with a nearly 350% surge since this time last year. In general, cryptocurrency remains by far the best performing asset class over the past 12 months. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss the next weekly investment roundup. And in case you missed it, you can catch last week's episode here.